Divorcing gracefully and beyond, sisters. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Today is hump day and we're here for our coffee chat. So I am so excited to be here with you this morning. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Donna Rudowitz and I am a licensed clinical social worker as well as an expert transformational relationship coach. And my work really is about healing the soul fracture post-divorce or even, midway or through the divorce, but healing that soul fracture, reclaiming our brilliance, learning how to become our own soulmate first so that we are ready to bring in the people, places, and things that we want, right? And that includes bringing in a soulmate should you wish to bring a partner into your life, if that's what your plans are. So with that said, what we do on coffee chats, or what I do on coffee chats, is usually there's a topic that I bring to the table for us to chat about. And today is kind of like an interesting topic because it's more of a parable than it is a topic, but it's quite interesting. And I thought that it gave me a little bit of a shift of perspective myself, and I thought I would share it with you so you could get a shift of perspective yourself. And good morning, Nancy. How are you? Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for joining me for coffee chat. All right, so here's the parable that I heard, and it was about a young man who was down by the shore and he's watching people fish, because that's what he did. He went down by the shore, brought his fishing pole, his bait, his tackle, brought his bucket, ready to catch the fish, and he noticed this older gentleman that was standing next to him and fishing. And what he noticed this older gentleman doing is catching the fish. But what ended up happening was, as he was catching the larger fish, he was throwing the larger fish back and he was keeping the smaller fish. And so this young gentleman was thinking, wow, this is kind of interesting. I'm very perplexed in this. Why would you throw back the larger fish? Normally we throw back the smaller fish and we keep the larger fish. And he said, oh, that's easy. That's only because I have a 10-inch fry pan. And this gentleman was like, wow. And so I wonder how many of you, or if you yourself, think about yourself, do you have a 10-inch fry pan mindset? And so let me tell you what I mean by that. As we've gone through a divorce, a relationship breakup, a separation, and even the years up to that, we've been living on somewhat of an austerity budget of when it comes to love. So before we got married and before we were in relationships, there was this essence of hope within us. There was this essence of dreams within us. There was this essence of childlike enthusiasm for life. And then over the course of life, what ends up happening is we get the scales of life, right? We experience disappointments, we experience loss, we experience trust, maybe betrayals, maybe a husband who, we couldn't quite trust, maybe even friends. And so what ends up happening is this level of hope and enthusiasm for life slowly gets chipped away. So what is normal, right? If I think about how, as a divine child, what our normal state of being, right? And we have a physiological state of being. What that state of being is one of abundance. It's one of grace. It's one of a reverence for life. And then as we go through life, as that gets chipped away, it just goes lower and lower and lower. And we're here, we're living, on the outside, the shell is there. We're doing what we need to do. But on the inside, our heart may be hurt. Our heart may be broken. The trauma from the relationship, the trauma from the divorce is there. Maybe there's ruminating thoughts of, not really quite understanding why this is happening, or maybe understanding why it's happening, but not necessarily knowing, how do I move through this? How do I get to the other side? Because I know this is not where I want to be. I know this is not what I want to be feeling. I just don't know how to get out of the toxic thinking, right? And so what ends up happening is the abundance, which was our normal birthright, turns into what I would say toxic thinking or ruminating thoughts. And now what the normal was, which is abundance, and the abnormal, which is the toxic and ruminating thoughts, they switch places. So what ends up happening with our 10-inch fry pan mindset is we move out of our normal abundance mindset and we move into this 10-inch fry pan mindset. And what that means is that we tend to maybe not allow ourselves to see the full picture of hope, to see the full picture on abundance, because our perspective is limited by this 10-inch fry pan that we've been living our life from. And your true destiny, the truth to who you are, is you have an unlimited fry pan. There is no boundaries to what you can achieve. There is no boundaries to what could be possible for you. The only boundary that's possible for you and the only limit you have is the limit you put on yourself. And that's through perspective. You know, you can never really lose hope. The only thing you lose is perspective. So we could choose to focus on what we've lost. We could choose to stay there and stay in this 10-inch fry pan mindset. Or we could choose to go in a different direction and go into the abundance and understand that there 100% is a way for you to love and be loved again, that you can heal your soul fracture, that we can heal the ruminating thoughts. And there was another conversation that I found to be quite interesting. And the conversation was, this is biblical, is when God had placed frogs in Egypt, right? And this is when Moses was speaking to the Pharaoh to ask for the slaves to be released. And he goes, and there's frogs everywhere. So essentially, when you got out of bed, there were frogs. When you walked down the street, there were frogs. When you went into your kitchen, there were frogs. You couldn't move without being there, a frog underneath you. So finally, the Pharaoh says to Moses, like, we can't take this anymore. We can't take this anymore. Can you please talk to your God and tell him we need to remove these frogs? And Moses said, absolutely. And said, when would you like to have this done by? And Moses replied, tomorrow. Basically what he was saying, he was being a scutch. He was being like sort of sticking it to him, like, you know what, we can't take it, but we're going to take one more day, just because he was that stubborn, that determined, that we're just going to show your God that we could take one more day. Where sometimes we get in that space, right? We're stubborn, we're determined, we're thinking we're going to keep doing it our way, where the appropriate answer, when Moses asked the Pharaoh, when would you like these frogs to be removed? The appropriate answer would have been now. Right now, like right now, these frogs, we need to have them removed. So this is your instance, and this is your opportunity for you to say, if you have a soul fracture, if you are stuck, if you have ruminating thoughts, if your life isn't showing up the way that you want it to be, and you want something different than what you have today, the appropriate time to change is today, not tomorrow, not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now, because here's what happens, and here's the cold hard truth of what humanity is and the psychology behind humanity, which is the lovely part of us as human beings, but also that stubborn, that willful, that determined part that could sometimes not necessarily serve us because we're trying to do it on our own, or we're trying to make it seem like we could figure it out, when it has nothing to do with your ability, it has nothing to do with your skill set, it has nothing to do with whether you can figure it out or you can't. The truth of the matter is you can't figure it out. To heal your soul fracture, you cannot do it with your head, you need to do it with your heart, and that's what I teach you at DG, of how to do that. But this is your opportunity to say, what have I been holding on to? Because going back to what I see, I have done interesting studies, because at this point I've been doing this work about 15 to 20 years. And when I'm on the phone with a woman who is hurt, her soul and her heart is so broken. So I equate it to, let's say you go into the emergency room because you have an organ that literally is hanging out of your body, right? You're not going to ask the doctor, well, maybe I should wait till tomorrow, or let me wait till next year. No, you're going into surgery and you're going to get that organ fixed immediately, because you need it to live. You need it to live and to survive, right? And it's the same thing with a soul fracture. So many times we put other people, places, and things before us, and we're not looking at the severity of the issue. This is a severe issue, because if your soul fracture isn't healed, you're not living, you're just surviving, you're not thriving, you're not able to live life to your fullest, you're probably not sleeping to the best of your ability, you're probably not showing up at family events in your best way. Maybe there's opportunities at work that are passing you by because you're just not fully engaged and not fully aligned. And not to say every night when you're going to bed by yourself, there's been years where I was living and alone, and I didn't have a partner, but I was self-partnering, meaning I knew that I would be meeting my husband. But it was lonely, right? When you're going to bed every single night, lonely, that takes away from our soul. Hey, Beth, good morning. So the appropriate time to heal that soul is now. And going back to those phone calls, so when I've had conversations with women and I touch base with them 5 or 10 years later, do you know that over 90% of them are in the exact same spot, if not worse, when I speak to them 5 or 10 years later. Because guys, it doesn't change. If you're 40, 50, 60 years old and you've been trying to think your way through this and it hasn't changed yet, then what makes you think that it's going to change? It's a little bit of a definition of insanity. And I say that with love and respect for you, because sometimes I hope I'm the one that could say it in a way that is respectful and caring for you, because it is, but it is the truth. If you haven't figured it out yet, there's the possibility that you may need additional support, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're not smart, you're not intelligent, that you can't figure it out. It means that we all need the people around us to help us, to guide us, to mentor us. And if we don't do that, then we only know what we know, and we're in that 10-inch fry pan mindset. And for those of you who are just joining me, we're speaking about a 10-inch fry pan mindset, which is this young gentleman was down at the beach fishing, noticed an older gentleman catching fish, but he wasn't keeping the bigger ones, he was only keeping the smaller ones. So when the younger gentleman asked him, hey, why are you throwing back the bigger fish? The older gentleman had said, well, that's because I only have a 10-inch fry pan. So the whole conversation is we keep ourselves in this 10-inch fry pan mindset. And today, the appropriate time, going back to Moses, going back to the frogs, not waiting to tomorrow, not being so stubborn that we're going to cut off our nose to spite our face, that we're not going to dig our feet in, that we're going to loosen, we're going to soften, and we're going to step into understanding that, no, I don't want to wait another day to live my ideal life. I don't want to wait another day to experience love. I don't want to wait another day. The appropriate time for me to live my best life is now. Right? And so I'm leaving you with that today. And if my message resonates with you and you're ready to live your best life and you're ready to do the work and you want to get out of these ruminating thoughts, you're tired of being stuck, you're tired of being lonely, you don't want to be the cat lady living in the condo alone, this is the time to do the work. Do not wait. So I love you, sending you so much love, sending you so much inspiration and motivation, and know that even in your darkest moments, you can never lose hope, you only lose perspective. And so we just need to get your perspective back on track. That's all it is. You are not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. And if you haven't been getting what you want, it's only a matter of strategy. Really, that's the simplistic part of it. It's just strategy. So please join me in Divorcing Gracefully and Beyond. I will leave a link below where you could book your free breakthrough call with me and chat. And I wish you all of the best. I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.